Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite in Stripe. Cincinnati, we gon' rise in Stripe. In the jungle, we unite in Stripe. Dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, everything day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle, dripping heat. Tiger stripe the city streets. East side, stand up. West side, stand up. If you reppin', who day? Time to put your hands up. Bengals stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we did it. Cincinnati, jungle fitted. Who day in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we build it. Earn our stripes, you know we kill it. Bleed our colors, jungle dripping. Nasty, natty, yeah, we live it. Lit the crowd, get the city loud. Yeah, we feasting now. Fit the pounce, make the city howl. Now we beasting now. Thunder through the tunnel, from the sideline to the huddle. Stripes we tatted on the jungle when we flex that who they muscle on them. Stripe, Cincinnati, we gon' rise in In the jungle, we unite in Dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Now who wanna move closing on? Now who wanna move on? If you got stripes, then you let the city know you rock them. Yeah, we got them. Yeah, we fought them. Like that black and orange on bottle. Bingo bottle. Never stop it till the beast and know them. Who ain't rocking with the diamond stripes? Flossing on the ring. Cincinnati, she's our queen. We gon' show the world who king. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite and
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the back-to-back AFC North champion Cincinnati Bengals. And they're going to Tennessee, as Ted Karras likes to say. Up yours, Tennessee. We own you. Do me a favor. If you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that thumbs up. You guys are awesome. I'm up to 2,376 subscribers. As always, I appreciate every single one of you guys. If you're watching the video, please make sure you hit the thumbs up. That helps the algorithm. Share the show, subscribe, all that stuff. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, X, and you haven't yet to subscribe to my channel, why not? Please do so. Please go to the YouTube channel, Sports with Strawberry Ice. Hit the subscription button and a bell for notification. Every time I go live, you'll be notified. Also, exclusively in the YouTube chat crew, we're doing super chat. So if you got something that you want to get, I'm going to start calling him Money McPhillips, Evan Money McPhillips. You know, he's from the Sit Down with Malik Wright. He's on a whole bunch of other things. Follow him on Twitter. If you got something that you want to get off your chest that he said on Malik's show that you're just like, you know what, Evan, I'm going to give Jeff a super chat just so he'll read my comment. Please do so. I greatly appreciate it. And as always, I'm coming to you live from this glorious place down here. It's the Ice Cave. The Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And, you know, we got the greatest quarterback in the league. I got the hat on today. Got the banner, flag. We got the beer. All the merchandise is at jackpotjoey9.com. The beer is at Brink Brewery. It is actually at the Kroger's in Delhi. I'm very excited about that. So it's a lot of major Kroger's and a lot of different stores and local bars and stuff in the area. Actually, it's down at Jeff Ruby's place too. So that's pretty cool too. So anyway, a portion of the proceeds for all that stuff go to the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Fund and the Joe Burrow Foundation. Speaking of Joe Burrow, he took all of the snaps. I saw him yesterday run around, look like he didn't have a lip, look like he's pretty good. I mean, I don't know. Not a doctor. We'll find out. Long as he doesn't aggravate it, and that's the key. Don't aggravate it, you know, and it will be good. All right, what's up to everybody in the chat crew? We got Stranger in there. Brad's in there. Stranger again. And Natron. What's going on, everybody? All right, let's get to the reason we're all here. You're not here because of me. We know this. You're here because of Evan, because you want to hear Evan's thought-provoking thoughts on the Bengals versus the Titans. Here's Evan. Did I hype you up enough?
Yeah, I mean, heck, I always get the best intros when I come on your show, man. I swear. I need you just introing me every time I walk in the door to just build me up a little bit.
I'll just be your hype man.
Yeah, I need one of that.
So what's going on, man? How you been?
Oh man, good. Staying busy. Bengal season is off and swinging, man. The storylines are flying around. It's been a crazy NFL season already, just 3 weeks in. So looking forward to week 4.
Yeah, you guys aren't too busy over there at the sit down, are you? You're not talking too much Bengals. I mean, there's no big news going around there. I mean, nothing about
No, Malik actually gets lots of sleep. Lots of sleep.
Yeah, I'm sure Malik gets all kinds of sleep. I bet he does. All right, so let's just get into it real quick. Get it out of the way. Calfgate. What's your thoughts on Burrow? Should he play? Should he not play? Should they sit him? What do you think?
So I guess the prevailing theory is that there can be progress made toward healing, even if he is playing, so long as there's no setbacks. And I think Joe and the training staff and the coaching staff are really the only ones who can kind of weigh the risk reward of what they determine to be the calf safety or risk of re-injury or whatever you want to call it. It's tough to know the exact number. There's research out there that some Twitter doctors will, kind of spout that, hey, there's about a 10 to 15% chance of re-injury with this. And you're just kind of rolling that dice every week you go out there, and you're really not going to get it 100% until you get an extended period of time. Now, that kind of begs the question of, well, he had 6 weeks before the season started. Was that not enough time? And if that's not enough time, then what is 3 weeks going to do, right?
Like you say.
Right. And so, but also you heard him after the Baltimore game say, yeah, I had a setback again. So then it was like, okay, well, has there been another setback? So there's a really unclear picture of exactly what happened in that 6 weeks and kind of if there were any other setbacks. So it's hard to get a real clear picture, because if he had no setbacks and went that 6 months and then just tweaked it and said, or 6 weeks and then tweaked it and said, man, it was just a misspeak on the again part of it, then okay, if you feel confident that you can play it this season and you feel like you are not putting your health seriously at risk, then you can go ahead and play. But man, it's definitely, you have to understand that when you're not right and you're putting so much force and pressure on your legs, your ligaments, your tendons, when you're taking off and you have a 300-pound guy coming to knock your head off and the adrenaline's pumping and you're just trying to get away for dear life and you use every bit of strength in your body at a reflex, you're constantly putting a tremendous amount of stress on the other ligaments, tendons, muscles in that area to compensate for that amount of force, since the calf can't sustain it. And that's when you really start to get into those risky waters of Achilles injuries that have much longer recovery times. And also sometimes you never fully recover to be yourself. So these are all things that they have to kind of consider and weigh. And but if they feel like they're safe enough with how they're doing it and the treatment's working and he is responding and getting better, then I guess that's the way they're going to roll for the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at, because he took 6 weeks, 5 weeks off. First game, now everybody says, it was a calf. I think it was rust. The whole offense looked awful the first game. It's just like it was the first game.
Rust, main calf.
Yeah, I think it was all. I don't think it was. Yes, I do think the calf had something to do, but I think it was all the above. Now, the Ratbirds game, if you go back and rewatch, and I've said this multiple times on the show, if you go watch that last drive he scored a touchdown on, he was moving. He was running. Yeah. I think he felt pretty good, and he might have felt too good. And that's where he might have gone, okay, I'm going to really test this thing. And that's where he might have hurt it. So, or not hurt it, but re-aggravated it. I'll put it that way. Now, last week, you had Aaron Donald come around the middle, and the offensive line held. They only sacked him twice. And if you can hold Aaron Donald and to on the team he's on, only sacking him twice, that's a good sign. And people keep saying, like you said, if he's running for his life, I don't think Joe's going to be running for his life. He's going to be, if they come through, he's going to be getting rid of that ball like he did a lot money, and it's going to look like crap. But I'd rather him get rid of the ball than run and try to take a sack. It's going to be a lot of 3-step drops, passes over the middle. Hopefully some deep shots. I mean, they did take a couple. I saw him, like I say, he took all the snaps in practice today. And I saw him throw a couple out routes yesterday when I was up on the bridge. So he looked pretty good. But again, it's not game speed. But again, one thing I've found out too is even if you do an MRI on this thing, you can't tell if it's fully healed. The only one that can tell you how he feels or if it feels good is Joe. That's so they really got to base it on how he is. But let me get to the super chat. Foxy, I appreciate you. First time I got a super chat in a while, and yeah, he's excited. Legal betting is Kentucky. In Kentucky days, I know you're with Betfred, but if you get across the bridge to Kentucky, anyone there, and easy double up your money on a max bet of $50. Actually, no, I'm not with Betfred anymore. I'm a free agent. If any places want me,
come get the man.
Come get me. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Is it's such a tricky thing, his calf, because I don't think the doctor, like I said, doctors have pretty much said they can't really tell when it's 100% because of the imaging. It's up to Joe. And if last week's any indication of it, I think he's going to be more willing to get rid of the ball, which actually is pretty good for Joe in the future to get rid of the ball. That's what we all want him to do, not take these hits. So maybe he can train this in his head. He gets rid of the ball faster and doesn't take the big hits in the future. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Who knows?
Right. Yeah, no, I think you made a good point too there about Joe's the only one who can really tell. And everybody's had the rounds of different specialists that have come on, and something they all kind of seem to agree about is that re-injury risk does start to decrease as you go on and as you get treatment and, give that. But at the same time, when the most re-aggravations happen is when you feel really great, because then you're maybe trusting it a week or two too early because you feel like, oh yeah, there's not the same pain, or you're getting a better response. And then suddenly, that.
I think that's what happened against the Ravens. I really did. More we've been talking about this and stuff. That's what I think happened. Anyway, I don't know about you. I'm so tired of talking about a calf. Let's roll on to the Tennessee Titans, where, like I said, we've owned them the last couple of years. We went down there and beat them. And their defensive line is really good. Jeffrey Simmons is really good up the middle. I feel pretty confident that we'll be able to protect Joe against him, because we just did it against Aaron Donald. Sorry, Aaron Donald's better than Jeffrey is, but he's still a hell of a player. Don't get me wrong. And the Titans secondary, their defensive pass defense is not very good. So I can really see them scheming some stuff up over the middle for Jamar, and hopefully T, gets his hands working this week, which, like I said, everybody's like, what's wrong with T? I was like, he just had a bad game.
It's a game.
It happens. It happens. Yeah. So I can see it could be a lot like last Monday, but if Joe's feeling better, I think the ball is going to come out even faster, and it's going to be even more accurate, because that was more the concern to me, Evan, is the accuracy. Joe was missing a lot of them out. The outside routes he was missing. He was throwing them high and wide. That's where I think hopefully he'll, with him feeling better this week, will do better than he did against the Rams. What's your thoughts?
I think that's a good point. And I also think that the more time he's spending playing with this injury, he's learning how to play with it, in the sense of, you talked about some of the deeper out throws, right? That's something that he's generally going to have to put his foot in the ground and generate a lot more torque for, as opposed to other quarterbacks like maybe a Josh Allen or Justin Herbert, who have a little bit more zip in their arm and can compensate by just doing arm throwing, as opposed to their using such a big base, right? Drew Brees is another person who had a good throw, a strong velocity, a catchable ball, but it was generated through years and years of core work and getting his mechanics right, the torque, everything. So I think he's slowly going to get better as he kind of figures out this learning curve of how to play with it and how to kind of execute those throws and what he can and can't get away with. I think, obviously, I want to give flowers to Jeffrey Simmons. I think after Aaron Jones, trying to put them together, after Aaron Donald and Chris Jones, I think he's the third best defensive tackle total package in the league. I really think he's that amazing. You made a great point that the secondary has been atrocious for the Titans, particularly their outside corners. Okay, I want to make that specification because Roger McCreary, their slot corner, is a very talented slot corner. I don't want to take that away from them, but I'm looking squarely at Christian Fulton, who is giving up, I think it was 100+ corners. He ranks like 5th in passer rating when targeted. And their other outside corner is not much better. He is 12th in passer ratings surrendered in that same kind of span. So you've got two of the by passer rating worst cornerbacks in coverage on the outside of the boundary. This is going to be an opportune time to attack them with Jamar and T. I think you're right on the money about T. We remember Chase had drops in camp and preseason, and then they came and then no issue, right? Plenty of analytics work done with drops. When they are done year to year to year, looking at Darius Hayward-Bay, that's more of like this is a consistency thing, right? That's going to stick with them. But like a game to game, week to week, like small sample, it's noise. There's a lot of noise. We haven't seen that from T. We don't expect that, right?
Right.
Exactly. So off game for him. Expect him to bounce back. I do expect that, like you said, they'll continue to use that quick game as an extension of the run game, and I know people hate that.
Evan, they did that a lot. They did that a lot last year too. People tend to forget that. That's right. What they did a lot last year.
So I'm going to challenge Bengals fans and football fans alike. Right? I was reading a book by, I believe it was Doug Farrar, called Football Genius.
What you read?
Occasionally, only very occasionally.
Who knew?
And but there was a quote in there, and he was talking about when the West Coast offense first started coming out, and I think Bill Walsh had a quote when he was talking about the West Coast offense and just kind of short passes in general, where mindset of a defense, even mindset of a fan or an offense, right? Mm-hmm. You get a 4-yard rush on first down. Feel pretty good about that, right? You're like, hey, 4 yards, 2nd and 6, feeling great, right? You drop back to pass, you check it down, you get 4 yards. The defense is celebrating. Yeah, we stopped them. It's the same 4 yards. It means the same on the football field to everybody, but there's that mindset that when you pass it, you're supposed to be deeper. And so those 4 yards feel gross, and those 4 yards on a rush feel good. Whereas, if you're about to be tackled in the backfield as Joe Mixon, then you dart forward and lean forward for a yard or two, you're like, oh man, he really saved that one. All right, I feel good about that. At least he didn't get tackled in the backfield, right? But when it's a tunnel screen to Jamar Chase on the boundary and suddenly he avoids the tackle and only gets 1 yard, everybody freaks the fuck out and goes,
right,
this sucks.
What are you doing?
Like, okay,
oh my God, throw the ball deep.
Right. And so
I heard that so much.
And so I know there's two sides of this, right? Is that an efficient way to approach the short yardage game? Mm-hmm. Not when you spam it constantly, right? If you're doing it 10, 11, 12 times, no, you definitely want to still have your run game. But that's one way they're protecting Joe, right? Is because, one, the pass rush can't get to you because you're throwing the ball within under 2 seconds. And two, they can't bat the ball down when they know it's coming because you're not even throwing in their direction. So you don't risk those tip balls, those interceptions that you sometimes do with the RPOs or the glances over the middle. We've also seen them be creative in their setup plays. We saw the fake handoff on the jet sweep and then coming back around to Joe Mixon up the sideline. We saw the fake screen to Jamar Chase after hitting it a couple times, and then the deep ball and the slot fade to T. Higgins. So they're not just spamming this with no idea of what to do. This shows me that they're spamming this with the intent of, hey, we're going to keep Joe upright. We're going to limit the amount of times that we ask him to kind of move around. It's really easy for him to just open up and throw it just off the snap.
Right.
It's a low cost, low risk. You don't risk the defensive line getting to him. You don't risk being caught up in that. And it's a way that they can kind of set things up and get the defense creeping up before they take that shot play to then go downfield. So is it the best way to run the offense? No, but this is definitely going to be kind of how they have to function, being crafty with it and kind of earning their yards bit by bit and doing a death by 1,000 paper cuts way until Joe can consistently and confidently attack the 10 to 20 plus yard range of the field, which intermediate's where he's made his money. His accuracy in that the cover 2 and cover 3 hole shots, seam balls, that's him. But if he can't do that confidently, and then this is what the offense has to be for now.
And I'm telling you, this is the same. This is like deja vu. We're having the same conversation about the Bengals offense as we did last year because everybody kept saying, "Where's the deep ball? Where's the deep ball?" I'm like, cover 2, shell. They're not letting them do it, and so they've already got experience in doing this. Right. And Joe was semi healthy, but beginning of the year he got healthier as obviously as season goes on. But I mean, so that bodes well, I think, for the Bengals. Have already done this. They know what it takes. So I mean, it's just funny. I like people keep saying that we're starting out 0-2. This is different. Like, dude, to me, it's the same as last year. I don't know if we're going on a 10-game winning streak or anything, but first 3 weeks to me are the same. Real quick, shout out to Augie. Dude, you guys are killing it here with the super chats. Appreciate it with the $5 super chat. He says, we'll keep our game plan like last week. Control the clock, convert first downs, and a fresh defense. We should win by 2 touchdowns. Today, buddies. I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, Tennessee doesn't scare me. I mean, and maybe I don't want to go in too overconfident, but I mean, we've beat them the last 2 times fairly confidently. I mean, they were close games, but I mean, it was fairly convincing wins. And I kind of talked about this, that their defense, and you kind of already touched on how you take on their defense and how their secondary isn't that great. So, I mean, their defense doesn't scare me. And we already talked about that. But, I mean, how much pressure, I'll put it this way. Do you think the Bengals can get enough pressure on Tannehill like they did in the past, like they did against Matthew Stafford? Because if you get pressure on Tannehill, he's going to give you the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing with Tannehill, man, is he has not been very consistent, and he's not necessarily been – when you play the very conservative nature, right, of kind of what they play, and they're getting a little bit away from that as they move with Tajay Spears and kind of have to reimagine what the Titans offense is going to look like. And they're at a transition point right now. But yeah, with that kind of conservative smash mouth, defense nature that they want to play generally, you have a thin margin for error, right? So in that case, you can't have your quarterback putting the ball in harm's way. And he absolutely did that, both as a passer, as a rusher, fumbling the ball. It's tough. It is. So I think if you're going to find a way to really get after him, you're going to make him constantly – Trey Hendrickson's got to have the game that he kind of had last week and not the one that he had against Baltimore, right?
And I think he can. Can you name an offensive lineman on the Tennessee Titans?
Andre Dillard and Peter Skoronski, but only because Peter Skoronski's hurt, and Andre Dillard I know because he came over from the Eagles, and I was like, okay, that's a neat addition. And then I looked at how he's been doing, and I said, okay, well, that was just a neat addition, wasn't it? But yeah, they've got a razor-thin margin for error. Brian Tannehill has just not been great when pressured, and it's just like if the quick stuff isn't there, which DeAndre Hopkins is good, Treylon Burks missed practice and looks like he's going to miss the game as well. They just do not have receiving options outside of DeAndre Hopkins that they can really consistently rely on down to down, man. So if you can find a way really to get pressure on Tannehill, build up an early lead, maybe it's a field goal to start. Maybe, you come out, you go 3 and out, or something because of rust, right? Because, the Bengals just start every game a little bit slow, right? So first drive, you come out, and then the second drive, you start to put it together. And, I think that defense can hold out for 3, 4, 5 possessions before giving up 3 points with just how putrid the Titans offense has looked. And I just don't know what they rely on, man. If you can shut down Derrick Henry in the run game and just put the Titans behind the 8 ball, just get to 7, 10 points before they can put them on the board, you can lean a little bit more on Joe in the run game. And we saw them do that with the Rams, where once they had the lead, I know people are clamoring, more run game, more run game. It's easier to run the ball when you're winning, right? Yes. So, and that's the thing is like, guys, we'll scream it until the cows come home. Been doing it for 6 years since I was working at PFF as a wee little intern. The run game is correlated to winning. Like you run more when you win. All these stats of, with 25 plus carries, they're undefeated. Yeah, no shit. When you're winning the game and you're running the ball constantly to milk the clock, you're going to have a lot of rush attempts. Anyway, obviously in Cleveland and Baltimore, when you're down, you can't just spam the run game. And a lot of 2-minute drill influences that too, right? If you get the ball right before 2 minutes, you're more likely to pass than run, right? If you got the ball at 4 minutes, you'd probably be doing a more balanced approach. Right. That's a whole thing. That's the deep ball too, right? Oh, Jamar Chase was open and the defense allowed it and the play call was right, but then Aaron Donald had a hand in Joe's face and he couldn't look up and throw it at that time. Shit happens, right? Like it's not just all right.
It's football. Like,
I know, right? And
it's weird.
People, I think people would be surprised how much of like a play to play down, like things don't necessarily work out the way that they think they are, or that they're called. Like, especially in college, like when you go, there's a blown coverage, like it happens more than you think, right?
Oh yeah, it happened. It happened in the game Monday night. I mean, Yoshivash and my favorite tight end, and I can never remember his Tanner Hudson.
Yeah,
ran into each other.
Right. It's just you run the wrong route, something happens, but then you throw to the left side when that happens on the right side, and so you don't notice it, right? Or one corner and safety end up in the same spot, but again, it's a wide receiver screen, so you just don't see it, and it happens constantly, right? You can be professionals, train all that. It just in the moment, stuff happens. Exactly. But again, going back to it, man, I think the big key is, like you said, put pressure on Tannehill. They have the dogs to do it, man. It's about whether they'll show up. And I think Reeder, Hendrickson, and Hubbard have been 3 of the most stable guys for this defense game to game. despite the fact that they've both kind of all had their moments of disappointment here and there, right? But I think the D-line performing, offense building that lead early is going to make Tennessee very uncomfortable. And like you said, force Ryan Tannehill to be more of a driving force and an engine for their offense, which he is not prepared to do and is not
done the last 2 years.
And this summer, Malik asked me, what's next for Ryan Tannehill? Because they drafted Will Levis and Malik, and he was like, is he going to go to another situation like the Vikings next year or like the 49ers or something? And it was like retirement. I was like, dude, like this is a converted wide receiver to quarterback, right? Athleticism has long been a part of his game, being able to do the boots, the rollouts, avoid pressure. And if you can't avoid pressure and you can't take care of the ball, we saw how quickly it ended for Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan went from being the 14th best quarterback in his last year in Atlanta and then going to Indianapolis and not being able to hold the ball and not fumble 4 times a game, get sacked.
Right,
so
exactly.
That's the point where Ryan Tannehill is, man. In the year he's going to be.
I'm surprised he's still the quarterback. They've drafted 2 quarterbacks back-to-back years.
I don't know what's good. That's a whole thing with Tennessee where I don't feel like Malik Willis ever got a fair shake in an offense that was built. He didn't run any read option or RPOs his first game he started. You've got a rookie from the 3rd round coming in to fill in last minute, and you don't even put easy buttons in. That's the thing,
Evan. This is the thing. I think NFL teams, I think they're getting better at this. And I always roll this back to David Klingler, run-and-shoot quarterback coming to the Bengals. Back in the day, it used to be, all right, we draft a quarterback. You got to adapt to us, to our system. And that's what I think Tennessee's doing. Now, most teams are like, all right, what does this quarterback do well? And we adapt to him, which makes all the sense in the world, because why in the hell, if you draft a guy, right, why wouldn't you do what he does best? Mm-hmm. And that's what Tennessee isn't doing.
Dude, that's my biggest thing with coaching is sometimes we give these guys too much credit that these are very intelligent individuals, right? Mm-hmm. They've obviously known more about football than I'll ever forgotten more about football than I'll ever know, right?
Right.
But at the same time, sometimes you get so wrapped up in what you've done on the whiteboard 1,800 times when you sit there and so, oh, man, when I draw this up and if we just execute, it works every freaking time. And it's like, okay, but if you're asking Orlando Brown to be a puller and you just keep going, God damn it, Orlando, if you just get out there and execute, that's not on Orlando Brown. That's on you being a bad coach, right?
Exactly.
Your job of the coach is to say, here's what I have available to me. Mm-hmm. How do I build the boat out of whatever to get us where we need to go, to be the best version of yourselves that you can be? It is not the job of a coach to go, I've got this great 4-3 scheme with all this 3-3-5 mixed in, hybrid, exotic, amoeba defense. No, it doesn't matter because we've seen some of these defenses just go out there and play cover 2 and be damn good at it. Like
that rolls me into Zach Taylor, and people get ticked off that he always puts Joe in shotgun. Joe likes shotgun. Joe is most comfortable in shotgun.
They can't go under center.
Yeah.
Look, Joe has come out, and Brian Callahan has recently come out talking about how much Joe loves to see the pre-snap picture, loves to watch everything change as he drops back because of how quickly he knows where he wants to go. Mm-hmm. A lot of the under center play action game, we've seen the Kyle Shanahan, the Sean McVays, these offenses prop up these quarterbacks using a lot of motion, play action, and there's a ceiling you hit with that, right? We haven't seen any of these schemes in the Super Bowl, really. Even Sean McVay's offense that made it to the Super Bowl was Matt Stafford drop back passing game. That was not the Jared Goff wide zone, we're going to set you up kind of offense, right? There's a limit to the ceiling you can hit with that because adding those is like adding easy buttons. But when you run that play action boot, you're also limiting your field reads to half, which is what you're trying to do with a guy like Jared Goff or Nick Senzel, not Joe Burrow, right?
Right.
The reason you do it out of the shotgun and not the center is much like Aaron Rodgers and Ben Roethlisberger were the same way. Where they said, I don't like running play action from under center because I don't like turning my back to the defense. And also, guys, what's the worst thing you can do for someone who has a freaking calf injury right now?
Make a move.
Under center, spin around, take a bunch of steps, hit a drop with his back foot that is clearly bothering him, and then drive off of it. That's not what you want. So, and we know how predictable the game was for the Bengals when they were doing under center. They're so much harder out of shotgun,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
they've shown that they can run confidently and capably out of shotgun.
Yep.
They were number one in rushing success rate last season, running out of shotgun constantly. They've been a good run game this season out of shotgun. It's fine. And maybe you want to bring in some pistol looks there and hybrid the shotgun under center. Okay, I can get on board with that. Absolutely. But again, it comes back to the offensive coordinator saying, what do you like to do? And changing the picture pre-snap changes that for the quarterback and the defense, right? And if Joe says, I want everything spread out so I can see where everybody is and I can figure out where to go, and I don't need you to put in a motion with a play action boot to limit my field read so I can look at a high-low and determine one of these two is open and just throw it to the open freaking guy and don't turn it. That's not Joe Burrow. That's not the offense you have to run with him, right?
Exactly.
So let him drop back. Let him do his thing. I understand the frustrations of not leaning into the run game when Joe Burrow's hurt and everything else. Again, the super short, quick passes are an extension of the run game in that mindset. And also it's easier to do when you're winning. So, hey, go out there, get a
everything's easier
first quarter and run the hell out of the ball. Fine.
Everything's easier when you're winning. Now, speaking of the run game, all right, Joe Mixon. I think I see a difference in Joe this year than I did last year.
You do.
Okay, go ahead. Why is that?
Joe is much more decisive about what he's seeing. That's one thing. I know coming out, a big strength of his was his patience and waiting for blockers to set up, identifying run lanes, and kind of doing that Le'Veon Bell, skip, hit the hole, right?
Right.
With a bad offensive line recently, it's been hard to do that. Skip, go. And, you're getting hit in the backfield sometimes, but also we saw when Joe had that amazing year where he led the AFC in rushing, even though the offensive line was bad, he was forcing missed tackles like crazy.
He's also younger too.
Yeah. And so that was the one thing he did that he had not done previously in his career at all. He'd been constantly in the bottom of the league in elusive rating, which is just your forced missed tackles per touch, which that's how we see a lot of running backs, the best running backs, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry. It's not even just eluding or evading tacklers. It's putting them in the ground. It's breaking a tackle in some way or form, right? Joe Mixon's been more decisive and been more springy, and that's allowed him to attack holes in a way that he has not been as aggressive in the last couple of years, I think. But also you see it in his spring and his downhill nature of getting away from defenders. Right. When you look at the missed tackles he's forced in just his 3 games already, he's forced 9 in only the run game, and he's on pace to force 51 in the run game in just 17 games.
There you go.
To put that into perspective, last season he forced 26 in 17 games. So almost twice as many missed tackles. So if you feel like Joe Mixon is out there looking great, looking springy, making defenders miss and harder to tackle, you're damn right he is. Exactly. He's doing it twice as good as he did last year. And that was always the thing with Mixon, right? I was part of the camp that, I want the best from Mixon. I was loving the draft pick, talking to Kyle Kasky before the Jaguars Thursday night game, talking to him about, man, why wasn't Mixon utilized right until just now? Why is he only just now starting to get used the way he should as a receiver and everything? I wanted Mixon to succeed so much. But at the same time, when you had a guy who was getting older, not elusive whatsoever, I know it's hard getting tackled in the backfield, but at the same time, when you do get put into open space, you can force missed tackles, and still average 2 yards. You can still force a defender to miss, right? Especially when you got guys who are 6'4", 6'3", 280 pounds trying to turn. They don't turn so well, right? So
no, we don't. We're kind of slow that way.
But that's the thing, right? Is if you can make those defenders miss, that's what's really made these top, the Alvin Kamaras of the world, be the top league running backs, is being able to make defenders miss and pick up more than what's blocked. And that's the element that Joe has just unlocked in his game that he has not done since he led the league in rushing, or the AFC, in rushing just a couple years ago. So glad to see he's reclaimed that form. Hope he continues to do so. And I think he's going to continue to get plenty of run behind the offensive line that is the best he's played with in his career, hands down.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you guys for the super chat. You guys are killing it. Keep them coming. All right, $2 from Augie here. Now, do you think Mixon? He said, I think Mixon runs best out of shotgun. Do you agree with that, or do you think Mixon's good wherever he gets the ball from?
I think Mixon is pretty versatile in that sense, man. Where he's not ill suited for zone schemes. I don't think at all. He does have the athleticism to do that, and then he also has the size to comfortably run through the tackles. So I think he is and that's why he was kind of, obvious reasons why he fell into the second round. And that's why he was talked about as kind of a first round prospect on the receiving level of Christian McCaffrey. Some people said he ran routes better than Christian McCaffrey that year at Stanford.
Right.
That's how good he was in the receiving game. So this really
was that last year too. I think Evan, he that was his best.
That was the way they got him in space, right? They said, if we're not going to be able to run well, and if we're not going to have a good offensive line, and we're going to deal with health issues, then we're going to get you more look in the flats. We're going to get you more of these angle routes. We're going to get you in space against a corner that's smaller, against a linebacker that's slower, and let you work. And that worked for him. But yeah, I feel like he's comfortable doing both. His size, his speed, his athleticism. He is one of those backs that I feel like can fit just about any system that you want.
I agree with you. Now, I was going to get to this, but since Mike brought it up here, Chuck Sizzle is on the IR, out for about 4 weeks. Does that mean it's Yoshi time, or who are you putting back there as a punt returner?
Yoshi did not return kicks. So you'd have to, knowing Darren Simmons, I don't think he wants to put anybody back there that he himself is not put through drills and has prior experience.
So Trent Irwin?
That is kind of where I go.
Yeah.
Especially.
I love Trenton. That's my boy. I love him. But
right. So here's the thing, right?
He doesn't have the explosiveness that Chuck Sizzle does.
Right. And we know Darren Simmons is kind of salt of the earth, kind of old school guy a little bit, where he wants consistency more than anything, right? Yes. He wants you to execute what he does, and anything extra you give him, that's extra. And we know that is probably weighing more heavily on him, especially with the end of Kevin Huber's career, the Drew Chrisman issues and big games, the early starts with Brad Robbins of growing pains.
I was about to ask you that one.
Yeah, we can get to that too. But yeah, just Darren Simmons is probably going to appreciate the veteran consistency more. Maybe he says, hey, Chris Evans, we like you. We want you, you do kick returns sometimes. Maybe we want you to do punt returns too. A little bit of a different game.
Throw TB out there. TB does it all the time in practice.
Throw TB out there. I mean, they have plenty of athletes, right? It's what does he feel comfortable about making the right decisions?
Making the right decision and catching the damn ball.
Right. He wants no mistakes. He will not tolerate that.
Yes.
So with that weighing on his mind, I definitely think that Trent Irwin's probably the answer.
That's where I would love to see Yoshi because I think the explosiveness is there. And like I said, I saw him in practice, I think one time go back for a punt. At least he was back there. I can't remember if he actually fielded it or not. But I do remember seeing 80 out there. I'm like, ooh, Yoshi can return punts. But I can't even remember in my brain if he actually fielded it or not. I know he has not done it in any of the preseason games.
But then you say, hey, that's a 6th-round rookie. He's already trying to learn the wide receiver position. Do we really want to load him up and try to get a crash course and punt return?
Yeah, I don't think Yoshi's going to be it. I think it's going to be Trenton. So let's roll into Brad Robbins, which I still am a big fan of him. I was all for drafting him and everything. He's been a bit of a disappointment, unfortunately. I talked to him a little bit at training camp this week, and he actually turned all his social media off, which probably is a good thing.
Yeah, probably a good
do you
thing
think he's in? Yeah, do you think he's in over his head? He's going to get better. What do you think?
Yeah. So I'm actually trying to kind of in the background find it right now because I saw a wonderful tweet from Punalytics, which is an analytics account on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
Just call it Twix. Like that's what Chad Brenner called it, Twix. I keep calling it Twitter X or Twix or something. Anyway, but
right.
Go ahead.
And he's been like dead last in their punting efficiency metrics, right?
It hasn't been good.
No, and I don't want to do anything 3 weeks in, right? Making sweeping declarations about Miles Murphy, especially. Don't get me started,
dude. Did you see? Oh, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah,
we'll get that in a minute. Go ahead.
But no. So look, Punting is similar. I talk about all the time. Anybody who will listen, especially in the offseason, we talk about draft season, and I talk about prospects and when you can expect them to start to hit their stride, hit their ceiling, become who they're going to be. Offensive linemen, generally, it takes 2 to 3 years. They got to develop strength. They got to develop technique. They got to get used to all that, right? Punters are the same way. Punters usually year one don't come out and hit the ground running. The Johnny Heckers of the world that come out and take the world by storm as a rookie punt, not very common. Usually it is year 2 or 3 that we see punters start to kind of hit their stride and become, those veteran punters. I'm going to give them time. Because, again, I think this is further amplified by, 1, there was the weather in the first game, and then 2, field position in the offense has not been great to where this guy's constantly had to go out there and do this stuff. Mm-hmm. He's getting a lot of reps, and I would be curious to see what the second half of the season looks like compared to the first half of the season for him as he continues to grow. But I'm not overly concerned yet, because this is a guy who had exceptional accuracy as a punter, exceptional hang time. The overall leg is not going to blow you away, but that's less important, especially if you're going to be punting, around the 50-yard line.
Right.
If you're punting at the 20 or the 25 constantly, you're going to feel it every time, you punt it to the opposing 25 or 30, and then they return it to the 45 or 50. And you're like, damn, they're already at midfield. Like, yeah, they are, because you punted from the 20 or the 25 because, you had 2 false starts and then got sacked. And then those things are putting him in bad positions to make it look worse than it necessarily is. Mm-hmm. But that bad field position is also lending itself to EPA is talking about putting you in scoring position, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously if you're in bad punting position and you have to punt and you end up at the 50 or the 40, that's going to be a lot worse than these other punters who are punting and it gets inside the 5, the 10, or the 20, right? Mm-hmm. That by nature is going to level out, I think, as the offense hits its stride, as you're getting more advantageous punting situations, and you can deal more with what he specializes in, which is, hey, we're punting from the 40 to the 50. I'm going to caddy corner this in the side, or I'm going to get this in the 5 to 10. I'm going to get this in the hang time so our gunners can get down there and there's no return. Yeah, that's where he specializes. This is the same as getting that, the Ryan Finley, let's just say, led Bengals offense and asking him to constantly throw deep shots to Chase. It's like, I mean, yeah, sure. Like, that's what you ideally want is deep ball touchdowns because you're scoring, and Jamar Chase is really good at it. But at the same time, that's not Ryan Finley's strength. Sure, it'll work sometimes, but it's not going to work as often as you'd like. That's not his strength. So that's kind of where I land with Brad Robbins.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the field position and everything, I understand that. The ones that are concerning me are the shanks.
Yes,
those are the ones that he just screwed up.
Right.
He just hit it wrong. Those are the ones that I'm more concerned with fixing right now. Which he did have. I think he had one Monday night. I think, or did he have any? I can't remember. I thought he might have had one, but I don't remember. Anyway, it was better. And like I said, it's week 3. Mm-hmm. He's got the leg. He's got to know how he kicked in Michigan. So the weather, like you said, the weather shouldn't be a factor to him.
No.
I think he's going to get it all to come around. And you see, nobody's knocking down Drew Chrisman's doors. I heard he's working for Spectrum Sports or something. So I mean, he's still out there. If you guys want to go back to him, which I was never like totally against Drew Chrisman. I mean, if he would actually punt better in the AFC Championship game, he'd still be our punter. So, like I said, it's early. We'll see what happens. Now, I do want to get to Myles Murphy. Mm-hmm. And people have asked me, like, what's up with Myles Murphy? And I'm like, well, there's a reason he's 28th. he went to 28th.
He's played 39 snaps in 3 games, guys.
But, Evan, did you see him blow the dude up on the punt where he was this close to dude, it was in front of me in the end zone where I was at. He leveled that dude. Mm-hmm. I mean, that dude had no shot. He hit him. You know how a water boy came out and, what'd you say about my mother? What drop kicked him? That's what it looked like when Myles Murphy drilled this dude. And I don't know who it was, but he killed him. And then he was in on that I thought he got a half a sack with Sam Hubbard, but he was in on that play too as well. When Sam got a sack, so
yeah, he cleared it out on that twist, man. He took 2 defenders with him. Yeah,
right.
No,
So
that's
he's
what the burst was for.
Getting there. That's what I keep trying to like. Just hold on. He's 28 for a reason. I was a part of it too. I thought he would come in and knock the door down right away. But the more I've talked to, like Mark Duffner was on my show, he said that I don't want to say project, but it's more of a slow process.
It is
with him. Then go ahead.
I wouldn't even hesitate to call it a project because that's kind of what I've been billing him as. Because guys, look, okay, if I said there's a prospect who's won national championships, who comes from one of the best 3 to 5 college football programs of the last 5 years. He's a defensive end. He's just 21 years old. He's 6'5", 275, tests off the charts athletically. You're going to go, oh, so he's going in the top 5, top 10. There's a reason he didn't go in the top 5, top 10, and these guys usually do, right? And that's because he didn't improve his technique significantly from when he was a freshman to a junior. And the main reason that's concerning is because when you're getting older and you're a 20 or 21-year-old guy, you should be beating up on the 18-year-olds or the 19-year-olds across the way, right? Or if you're the supreme athlete or size, speed, whatever, that is. And
yeah, and I've seen my not Miles. I just daggone it. Our defensive line coach,
Marion Hobby.
Thank you, Marion Hobby. I hate it in my brain. He's a really cool dude. I always give him crap because he's always wearing long sleeves at practice. But anyway, I've seen him at training camp literally take Miles and work on the swim move and stunts.
He had no move. His move was no move. Bull rush and long arm. That was
exactly.
That was it.
So they were literally working on getting him moves to get around guys. So, I mean, when I said he blew the guy up for the punt, that's exactly what he did. He bull rushed and just
go be an athlete. Right now, year one, we're going to have you go out on the twist with Sam Hubbard. Just be fast and twitchy and just run fast. They're asking him to do things that are not going to rely on him to be something he's not. Everyone said, I don't know where this perception came from. I guess just first round D end, here he comes. And then,
well, I think because people thought he was going to go higher. Like, oh my God, we got to steal. Like, well, there's a reason he's at 28.
No. And so it's frustrating to me when people constantly are like, what the hell? He's not out here getting 2 sacks a game. Like, he's a bust. He's a bust. And I'm like, guys, he has not even played a full game's worth of snaps through 3 weeks right now. They are literally sending him out there for 7 snaps a game saying, hey, just go be an athlete. And it's going to take time, guys. Like, he was never going to be the guy to line up day one, take Sam Hubbard's job 3 games in and just dominate and be in the defensive player of the year race. It was never
nice. I mean, I would sign up for that, but that's not the case.
Right. Like, so everybody just chill the F out. Like, my God, dude.
That's the same thing. Like, I've said this a couple times on my show here this week. Probably people watching every day probably get tired of me hearing this, but the drunken head coaches in the stands with me on Monday night. Oh my God, I'm begging you, please throw the ball deep. I'm like, he can't right now. I'm like, he's trying to throw. It's like these people just like, I love Bengals fans. I love you guys, but sometimes your expectations.
Think through it just a little bit.
Right.
Just a little bit.
They expect Joe Burrow to never get hit, never get sacked. That's not reality. They expect the Bengals to go out there and score 30 points a game right off the bat. Well, right, that's not reality. We didn't freaking play anybody in training camp. They expect Joe Burrow with a hurt calf to throw the ball deep and Jamar Chase go get it. I mean, just it's football.
It's football, exactly.
And everybody's got to do the same thing at the same time without making a mistake and find what the mistake is that other team did, or a play to beat them. And if it doesn't happen, the play's not going to work.
The thing that frustrates me about that deep ball conversation too is that we talked about it, right? One, the defense has to give you the look to get it, right? Because if they're running cover 2,
that's the key right there.
So that's the first trick, right? Is, okay, we have to come out. We have to have the right play called at the same time we're getting the right defensive look. Okay, there's one check, right? Second check, Jamar Chase has to beat his man and then get into that spot or, whatever said receiver, right? Whoever you want to do. T. Higgins, Jamar, whatever, right? Go ahead. Boom. All right. There's that second check. The next check is you've got a small freaking window of time where, let's say Joe Burrow is doing his classic – T. Higgins is running the deep in route, right? Right behind the linebackers, in between that gap of the linebackers and the safeties, right? Fits that window in there. Okay. if he's not looking directly at T at that exact half second that he has to throw it to get it in that window because someone beats their man on the offensive line or suddenly there's a blitzer and he has to pull his eyes down, it's not that it wasn't there. It's not that it wasn't called. It wasn't targeted, not because Joe Burrow's not looking for it, but because it's football and sometimes shit happens.
Right.
Sometimes you end up with a guy in your face and you have to pull and get off your platform and readjust, or you feel the pressure off the edge, so you have to climb the pocket a little bit, and then you just miss that one little instant you had where go, damn, I had Jamar there, and then you got to check it down. That's why we don't see people throwing 10, 12 deep balls over and over to Tyreek Hill, because it's hard to just get a guy open down deep. That's why it only happens 2 or 3 times a game.
And then when it happens, you got to hit it.
We just got seduced by year one where just they were playing single high and constantly blitzing and then thinking we're going to get to the quarterback before they can do it. And Jamar was just torching guys and Joe was just diming it. And like we were all like, oh my God, it's so normal to have 6, 7 go balls a game. And no, it's fucking not, guys.
It's the same thing with Joe's calf. Everybody's like, oh my God, if you sit him for 3 weeks and he'll come back 100% healthy. Really? Well, we sat him for 5 and he hurt himself in the second game. I'm like, that's not, let's speak in reality here. I love sports talk. I do, but I hate hypotheticals and all this shit happen. If you knew it should happen, then why the hell aren't you on the damn field doing it? You know, I'm like, that's where I just like some of these people just drive me. I love all you guys. Don't get me wrong. It's just frustrating to have some of these conversations.
It all comes from a good place. It all comes from love and passion. But at the same time, Andy Dalton's 2015 year when he's going to MVP.
He was.
The Bengals game, 1 quarter into the game, things aren't looking good. And the guy behind me is, they need to put in goddamn A.J. McCarron. I'm so sick of this Dalton shit.
God.
He'd give them a better chance to win than – and I'm like, oh, my God, guys, I went to Alabama when A.J. McCarron was there, and I'm not even, like, high enough or drunk enough to tell you that. Like, I love A.J., but goddamn.
I think I've told you this story before, but I'll never forget this. And look, I was an Andy Dalton guy. He was our quarterback. He was what he was. I always said, we'll keep – everybody kept saying, get Randy. I said, for who? And then when we drafted A.J. McCarron, I never
He
forget.
would have been great for the Shanahan, Jared Goff system, man. Wide zone.
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
One of the guys at work goes, well, they just drafted a future quarterback. I said,
Ryan Finley.
Who? Oh, A.J. McCarron. I said, you think A.J. McCarron is better than Andy Dalton? Oh, by far. Look what he did in college. I'm like, they ran the damn ball in Alabama. He barely threw it. I'm like, what are you talking about? I think Andy threw it more in college than AJ did.
I was walking around a job site one time, and it was like right after they had drafted Ryan Finley, and they were like, yeah, they drafted that kid from North Carolina or something. And I was like, just hearing it. And you know when you hear on the radio and you're just like freaking out and screaming at the radio, I was screaming internally, and I'm like, I already know what's coming. And they're like, yeah, they say he's pretty good, man. He might be starting before too long. And I was just like, stop it. Stop it. Oh, my God. They couldn't even remember his name. They were like, Ryan. And I'm like, tell me more about how this 4th-round pick from some North Carolina school that you can't even say the name of, you don't even know his name. Tell me how he's the savior for the quarterback.
He beat the Steelers on Monday night with what, 10 yards passing or something like that?
He got us Joe Burrow, so maybe he was the savior all along, and I just wasn't.
Exactly. That's what I say. We got Joe Burrow.
He was thinking 3D chess.
I said that once, once I realized we had a shot at getting Joe Burrow, I said, I want that dude. And I'm like, I'm not saying I am a expert at anything, but I knew Joe Burrow was good. I knew he's better.
People and they're good. You can tell.
You can just tell.
They just are better than everyone around them.
It was can't miss. I mean, it was just because my sister-in-law, she kept giving me crap. I'm like, well, what do you think? Why do you think Joe Burrow did what he did in college? I said, did you see him in college? I mean, he's playing with an NFL offense against a lot of guys in the SEC, which I hate the SEC, but a lot of guys in the SEC are going to play in the NFL, and he torched them. The greatest college season ever. Oh my God.
It wasn't the Texas game. It wasn't the Florida game because that was like 4 or 5 weeks in.
It was the Alabama game that got me.
It was the Alabama game. That's when I was like, night game, Alabama. Let's see it.
That was it.
Let's see you step up to the plate. And he was as masterful as we've come to know him to be, man. And
that was the game. That's how I'm going. Yeah. I said, I looked at whoever's watching the game with me, I said, I want the Bengals to, and I never root for the Bengals to lose. I said, I want them to lose the rest of the games and go get that guy. I'm so glad they did. So Evan, real quick, plug some of your stuff before I let you go. You've been on for 54 minutes, and I want to get like a keys to the game for you, but plug your stuff here real quick.
Yeah, man. We always tend to go long on your show, man. That's just the way we end up talking football and going back and forth because we got some mind meld on some of these things where we both feel like we're that Will Ferrell, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills meme. So this is nice therapy for me and you to both go like, okay, so you're seeing the same thing I am, right? Okay, cool. So yeah, guys, you can find my stuff over on my Twitter account. I'm at eMcPhill with one L. Posting
Money Mick. Just call him Money Mick.
Yeah, Money McPhillips, baby. Hey, if he's ever hurt, maybe I can strap on the pads and
make
him a check. I'll get killed out there, but my family will have a nice inheritance at least, I guess. But no, I place plenty of stats out there. Going to be posting a lot of our video content. We've got our own stream going on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. State of the Jungle.
You really? Can find Never heard of it. I don't know what.
Yeah, I know. We're a new thing. We're just getting out there. We're just getting out there.
Small growing company. Yeah.
There's this guy named Malik. You probably never heard of him. No, he's not the big shot. It's me.
I'm glad I can help you guys out a little bit.
Hey, I do appreciate the exposure, my guys. So, hey, I love talking ball with you and talking to your folks, man. So, hey, follow the Sit Down 513 on YouTube. That's where we got all our content. You can find the link to it on my Twitter account. Love to interact with you guys. Love to talk Bengals. And, we all love the Bengals, even if we disagree on things. It's all coming from passion.
It's like I say, it's football, it's sports. We can always disagree. Just because I disagree with something that you said doesn't mean I don't like you. That's what I always try to tell everybody. That's where you always got to try to keep that in mind.
Everybody's going to be wrong about something, right? So it just happens to be you're wrong about this one. That's what it's.
Yeah, I'm wrong about stuff all the time. Ask my wife. She always tells me I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah. No, she'll always be there to do that.
Well, I mean, she's awesome. She's always right. So I mean, duh. Hey, did he start a morning show? I heard him saying that on one of the.
He was floating that out there. He was saying, hey, maybe we get ourselves a little like Bengals Good Morning football type deal. So that's something that may or may not be in the works. We'll tease that.
If he can do it around 10 a.m., I'll get off work. I can come co-host for him. Just let him know.
There you go. Yeah, get the morning brew, a little sun up, get a nice like little cheesy radio morning.
Your iced coffee. Your Bengals iced coffee, Malik and ice.
Hey, Malik and ice. I like that. Ice. Yeah. Hey. All right. I'll have to pitch that to him.
All right. So, Bengals and Titans Sunday. Keys to the game. I think we kind of rolled through that. Obviously, keep Joe Burrow upright. I don't think their defense scares us. You got a score prediction?
I will say Bengals 20, Titans 10.
There you go.
I think the Bengals offense rolls. I think they find the end zone twice and then kick a couple field goals and largely keep the Titans in check. I think the Titans will maybe find the end zone once, but that offense has really struggled and missing Treylon Burks, struggling to have their identity, but with a poor offensive line, they're struggling to run with Derrick Henry like they want to. Tyjae Spears has been creeping up in snap count, really just scoring Derrick Henry out of the game is going to be.
He's the king of nothing, by the way. Just saying, Derrick Henry's the king of nothing. Just saying, the Bengals shut him down when we play him. Just throwing that out there.
Hey, he did everything he needed to and more at Alabama, man. Watching him play there, that was one of the players you talk about. You ain't got to know anything about football to know that guy just is different.
Dude, yeah, he's a tree with legs.
Watching him like stride on a long run down the boundary and the safety he's got the slow, long gallop. And you're like, dude, he is slow. But then you see the guy next to him going,
you're right. Exactly.
Trying like hell to keep up. And he's just gliding. He just is so casual about it. So yeah.
He reminds you of Eric Dickerson, his upright stride and everything.
Yep. High-waisted, long legs. Yeah.
But he is a ton of bricks to hit. And I always give Mike Hilton, who is a badass, a ton of credit because that little dude comes in there and he puts him down. He's done it. Now, hopefully he'll do it, knock on wood. Hopefully he'll do it this Sunday. But he's done that a lot. And I which always shocks me about how Mike Hilton can get these guys down with his size. Because Derrick Henry is no freaking joke. But like I said, he doesn't scare me. The Titans don't scare me. I think we're going to win. I'm going to go with I like what Nate Ryan said here. 24-10 Bengals. It could be a little closer than that because I do think with Joe Burrow, and the calf, depending on how that goes, I think it could be closer, than we think. But we'll see what happens. Either way, Evan, it's been a blast. I appreciate you coming on, dude. Like I said, I always had so much fun talking to you because we're both like,
right? Yeah, no, we both get so excited about like, oh god, this drives me nuts.
Can you believe these people are saying this? Like, we didn't even get into Cordell Volson yet. No, that's a whole other subject we can get into.
Next time.
All right, brother. Talk to you later. Hooday.
Thanks, man. Hooday.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Go follow Evan McPhillips on Twitter. Of course, go check out Malik Wright and the sit down and everything that the boys got going on over there at First Star. They got him. They got Dave Lapham. I think Bengalorian and Drew Garrison got a show. They got all kinds of stuff going on over there. So make sure you guys check them out. All right. Let's get to a little Reds and Bearcat talk here real quick. All right. I put this on Twitter. Tonight, here at 8 o'clock, 8:05 Cincinnati time, the Reds are taking on the Tweety Birds. This is as must-win of a game as there has been. They have to win, actually, all three of these games. They got to win all three of them. If they lose any of these games, it's over. I mean, I love the Reds. I really don't think we're going to make the playoffs. A lot of stuff's got to happen. The Cubs keep losing, which is good. We need the Marlins to lose. I know the Marlins and Mets game got postponed last night. I don't know if they rescheduled it to finish it. I think they might wait and see if they actually have to finish it, how the season goes. But we really need those two. We're not going to catch Arizona, but if the Cubs keep dropping, and hopefully the Marlins lose some more. But if the Reds don't win these three games, it's over. So big game tonight. Bearcats playing tonight at 10:30 in BYU. I am going to do my best to at least listen to it. I'm hoping they have a bounce back this weekend. Second Big 12 game for the Bearcats. First road game. Like I said, it's not going to be an easy place to play. The altitude and everything there is going to be difficult. BYU is a very good football team. We'll see what happens. I will be watching. Well, like I said, I'll be listening to it. Well, because I got to go to work. I got to be at work at like 4 a.m. or something. So I took a long nap today, so maybe I'll be all right. Anyway, go Reds, go Bearcats. Bengals are going to beat the Titans. Let's get the Facebook groups that let me live stream. I see you, Holmes. Go Cardinals. What? Get out of here, Holmes. Get out of here, Holmes. For the podcast listener, Holmes commented in the comments here on YouTube. He's a Cardinals fan. So I can give him crap. Anyway, Facebook groups that let me live stream. And I appreciate every single one of them. They are Houday Nation, Houday Legion, Bearcat Ruckus, Radical Reds, the Ohio State Bucknuts, the Ice Bar. And then, of course, you can follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, Twix, Threads, TikTok. Twitter X is at Jeff A. Trunapole. TikTok is at Iceman90. Find it all under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'll be pulling a sign off later on tonight. So if you missed any of it and you want to listen to the podcast, please do so. It's on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a 5-star review and a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. YouTubers are awesome. 2,367 subscribers. As always, I appreciate every single one of you guys. If you're watching this video, please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me a share. Because the only way I can grow is if you guys share it out and tell your friends and tell your neighbors to subscribe, tweet it out, all that stuff. I greatly appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back Monday with the greatest running back in Bengals history, my boy, Corey Dunn. Big Savage Greg will be on there. Cap will be on there. We'll be hopefully recapping a Bengals win. But like I said, I'm calling it 24-10. Bengals win. We'll find out. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you Monday. And that's just sports, baby. See ya!
In the night, stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black, and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite. In Cincinnati, we gon' rise. In the jungle, we unite. Dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast every rise in the jungle we